Picture this. You wake up in a hospital bed. The surgery is over. Your left arm, the one crushed in the accident, is gone. The doctors saved your life by amputating it. But here's where things get strange. You can still feel it. Not just a memory or wishful thinking. You feel your missing hand clenching into a fist. You feel the wedding ring that isn't there anymore. Sometimes it itches. Sometimes it burns like fire. Welcome to one of neuroscience's most bizarre mysteries, phantom limbs. This isn't rare. Actually, if you lose a limb, you're almost guaranteed to experience this. About 90% of amputees feel their missing body parts. And for 64% of them, these sensations come with crushing, burning, or stabbing pain that can last for years. We're talking about pain in a body part that literally doesn't exist anymore. Let me tell you about James. He lost his right arm in Afghanistan. 6 years later, he still wakes up at night because his missing hand feels like it's being crushed in a vice. He takes painkillers for an arm that's been gone for over half a decade. His brain simply refuses to accept that his arm is missing. But here's where it gets even weirder. Some people born without limbs, kids who never had an arm or leg to begin with, can feel phantom sensations too. Think about that for a second. How can you feel something you never had? It's like missing a memory of something that never happened. This phenomenon has been driving scientists crazy for decades. And recently, they've discovered something that flips everything we thought we knew about the brain upside down. Your brain's secret map. Deep inside your brain, specifically in a strip of tissue called the somatosensory cortex, there's a map of your entire body. Scientists call it the cortical homunculus. Don't let the fancy name throw you off. It's basically your brain's GPS system for your body. Imagine a tiny, distorted version of yourself living in your brain. But this mini you looks nothing like your Instagram photos. The lips are huge. The hands are gigantic. The tongue is massive. Meanwhile, your back and legs are tiny. Why? Because the map isn't based on actual size. It's based on sensitivity and how much brain power each body part needs. Your fingertips get massive real estate in this brain map because they need to feel tiny textures and temperature changes. Your back, not so much. It just needs to know something's touching me and ouch, that's hot. For decades, scientists believe that when you lose a limb, this map gets redrawn. Like a city rezoning district after a building gets demolished. The neighbors move in and take over the empty lot. If you lost your hand, the face area next door would expand into hand territory. Made sense, right? Monkey studies seem to prove it. Human brain scans appear to confirm it. Case closed. Except it was wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. The study that changed everything. In 2022, researchers did something nobody had done before. They scanned people's brains before and after amputation. Not different people, the same people. They followed 3 volunteers for up to 5 years, watching what actually happens to the brain's body map when a limb disappears. What they found shocked everyone. The brain doesn't redraw the map. That hand area in the brain, even 23 years after amputation, it's still there, still trying to control a hand that doesn't exist. The brain is far more stubborn than we ever imagined. Professor John Krakauer from Johns Hopkins put it bluntly. This study definitively shows that the idea that the brain can just rewire itself, that the cortex can simply swap functions, is wrong. Think about what this means. When James feels his missing hand clenching, his brain is literally sending signals to control a hand, processing feedback from a hand, maintaining a perfect neural blueprint of a hand that hasn't existed for 6 years. His brain refuses to accept reality. But why? Why would our brains be so inflexible? And if the map doesn't change, what's causing all that phantom pain? The pain that shouldn't exist. Let's talk about pain for a moment. Normally, pain is your body's alarm system. Touch a hot stove. Nerves scream, brain gets the message, you pull your hand away. Simple, right? But phantom pain breaks all the rules. There's no hand to hurt, no nerves to fire, no tissue to damage. Yet the pain can be excruciating. Some amputees describe it as burning, crushing, stabbing, or like electric shocks. Others feel their missing limb is twisted into an impossible position and stuck there. One patient told me his phantom foot felt like it was constantly stepping on a nail. Another said her missing hand was permanently clenched so tight that her phantom fingernails were digging into her phantom palm. She could feel the blood that wasn't there. For years, doctors didn't believe these patients. How could you have real pain in an imaginary limb? Some physicians actually told patients it was all in their head, which is technically true, but completely misses the point. The pain is absolutely real. Brain scans prove it. The same pain centers that light up when you stub your toe light up during phantom pain. So what's going on? Enter a Swedish researcher named Max Ortiz Catalan, who proposed something radical: the stochastic entanglement theory. I know, another fancy scientific term, but stick with me because this is where things get really interesting. Catalan noticed something odd. Not everyone with an amputation gets phantom pain. Some people lose a limb and never feel pain at all. Others are tortured by it. Why the difference? His theory: it's random. Literally random, like rolling dice. Here's how he explains it. Your neurons never shut up. Ever. Even when they're not doing anything specific, they're chattering away, firing randomly like popcorn in a microwave. Normally, this doesn't matter. It's just background noise. But when you lose a limb, something strange happens. Those neurons that used to control your hand, they're unemployed. They've got nothing to do. So they're just firing randomly, looking for work. Sometimes, and this is the key word, sometimes these unemployed neurons start firing at the exact same time as your pain neurons. When neurons fire together, they wire together. It's like they become friends. Suddenly, your hand control neurons are best buddies with your pain neurons. Now, every time your brain tries to check on your missing hand, it accidentally triggers the pain network too. Boom, phantom pain. The randomness explains why some people get it and others don't. It's literally luck of the draw. Your neurons might become entangled, or they might not. Like cosmic dice determining whether you'll spend years in agony or walk away pain-free. But Catalan didn't just theorize. He developed a treatment that actually works. Tricking the brain. Remember those old-school magicians who'd saw someone in half? The audience gasps, but you know it's an illusion. Your eyes see it, but your logic knows better. Turns out, when it comes to phantom limbs, your brain is terrible at logic, but really trusts its eyes. Enter Vilayana Ramachandran, a neuroscientist who might be part genius, part wizard. In the 1990s, he had a crazy idea. What if you could trick the brain into thinking the missing limb was back? He built a box, not a fancy medical device, literally a cardboard box with a mirror inside. Cost about $5 to make. Patient puts their good arm in one side, looks in the mirror, and sees what appears to be two arms. Move the good arm, and it looks like both arms are moving. The first patient was a guy named Philip who'd lost his arm 10 years earlier. His phantom hand had been clenched in an agonizing fist for a decade. Nothing helped. Painkillers, therapy, meditation, nothing. Philip sat at the mirror box. Ramachandran told him to try opening both hands, the real one and the phantom. Philip moved his good hand while watching the mirror. For the first time in 10 years, he saw both hands open. His phantom fist unclenched. The pain vanished. 10 years of agony, gone in seconds. Philip actually started laughing, then crying, then laughing again. "It's gone," he kept saying. "The hand is gone." And he didn't mean just the pain. The entire phantom disappeared. Ramachandran had performed the world's first successful amputation of the phantom limb with a mirror. Why mirrors are magic to your brain. So how does a $5 mirror box outperform thousands of dollars of pain medication? The answer lies in something called mirror neurons, and they're one of the coolest things your brain does that you never knew about. Watch someone yawn. You'll probably yawn too. See someone stub their toe? You might wince. That's mirror neurons at work. They fire both when you do something and when you watch someone else do it. They're why movies make us cry and why seeing someone eat something disgusting makes us feel queasy. When Philip looked at the mirror showing his restored hand, his mirror neurons went into overdrive. They told his brain, look, the hand is back, and it's moving normally. The visual signal was so strong, it overrode the pain signals. The brain, confused but convinced, simply deleted the phantom. But mirrors are just the beginning. Today's treatments look like something out of science fiction. Virtual reality and the digital ghost limb. At Chalmers University in Sweden, researchers are using virtual reality to treat phantom pain, and the results are mind-blowing. They're not just reducing pain, they're cutting it in half. Here's how it works. Electrodes on the stump pick up the electrical signals your brain is still sending to the missing limb. A computer translates these signals into movement. Put on VR goggles, and suddenly you see your missing arm again, in full 3D, moving exactly as you intend. One patient, let's call her Sarah, lost her arm in a car accident. The phantom pain was so bad she couldn't work, couldn't sleep. She tried everything, including the mirror box. Nothing worked. First VR session, Sarah puts on the goggles. There's her arm, digital but convincing. The researchers tell her to make a fist with her phantom. The electrodes pick up the signal. The virtual hand closes. Sarah gasps. She's controlling something that doesn't exist with a limb that doesn't exist. It shouldn't be possible. Open your hand, they say. She thinks about opening her phantom hand. The virtual hand opens. For the first time in 2 years, her phantom fist unclenches. The relief is instant. But here's the really weird part. After 5 sessions, Sarah's pain dropped by 60%. Not just during the treatment, all the time. Her brain, finally able to see and control the phantom, started to calm down. The unemployed neurons found work again. Some patients report something even stranger. Their phantoms start telescoping, shrinking like a collapsing telescope until the phantom hand feels like it's attached directly to the shoulder. Sometimes it shrinks away entirely. The phantom just leaves. Actually, that reminds me. I once met a woman who'd lost her leg in a motorcycle accident. She told me her phantom foot would itch terribly at night. She'd reach down to scratch it. Her hand would pass through empty air, and her brain would short-circuit for a second. It's the weirdest feeling, she said, like your brain glitches and has to reboot. The children who feel what never was. Remember I mentioned kids born without limbs who feel phantoms? This completely breaks our understanding of how the brain works. In 1961, researchers documented 5 children with this condition. One girl, born without arms, could feel her missing hands. She knew exactly where they were in space. She could move them. She even felt they had normal sensation, touch, temperature, pressure. How is this possible? She never had arms. No arms means no arm neurons should have developed, right? Wrong. Turns out, the brain's body map might be pre-installed, like a computer that comes with software already loaded. The map exists before the body parts do. We're born with a neural blueprint of what we should be. This is profound. It means our sense of self, our body image, isn't learned, it's hardwired. The brain expects a complete body. When reality doesn't match the blueprint, things get weird. Some researchers think this explains gender dysphoria, where people feel they're in the wrong body, or body integrity disorder, where people feel a healthy limb doesn't belong to them. The brain's map and the body don't match. However, this is where the science gets controversial. Not everyone agrees the map is pre-installed. Some argue these kids are using other senses to construct a phantom. The debate is fierce and ongoing. The Russian discovery that changes everything. In 2023, Russian scientists at Skoltech made a discovery that could revolutionize phantom limb treatment. They found actual, measurable, objective markers of phantom pain in brain waves. Think about that. Until now, phantom pain was subjective. Doctors had to trust patients when they said they hurt. No blood test could detect it. No scan could measure it. Pain is personal, invisible, impossible to prove. Not anymore. The Russian team can look at an EEG, a brainwave recording, and see phantom pain. It has a signature like a fingerprint. They can tell who's in pain and who isn't, how severe it is, maybe even what type of pain. Why does this matter? Because now we can test treatments objectively. We can personalize therapy. Imagine a doctor tuning your treatment like a radio, watching your brain waves until they hit the sweet spot where pain disappears. Early trials are incredible. Patients who've suffered for decades are finding relief. One man hadn't slept through the night in 15 years because his phantom hand would cramp. After personalized electrical stimulation based on his EEG signature, he slept for 10 hours straight. His wife thought he died. She'd never seen him sleep so deeply. But the real revolution isn't just in treatment. It's in validation. Phantom pain patients have been doubted, dismissed, told they're imagining things. Now there's proof. The pain is real, measurable, treatable. That psychological relief alone helps many patients. The dark side of phantoms. Not all phantom stories have happy endings. Some people develop what's called a painful phantom. Imagine your missing hand is permanently on fire, or crushed in a vice that tightens every time you think about it. Some phantoms feel like they're twisted into impossible positions, a foot bent backward, fingers splayed at angles that would break bones if they were real. One veteran described his phantom foot as feeling like it was made of broken glass, and someone keeps stepping on it. Another said her missing arm felt like it was being eaten by acid from the inside out. The worst part? Traditional painkillers barely help. You can't numb nerves that don't exist. You can't heal tissue that isn't there. Some patients become suicidal. The pain is that bad. And then there's the social isolation. How do you explain to someone that your imaginary hand hurts? People think you're crazy. Relationships fall apart. Jobs are lost. Lives are destroyed by pain from a limb that doesn't exist. The curious case of phantom everything. Limbs aren't the only things that can become phantoms. People have reported phantom breasts after mastectomies, phantom teeth after extractions. There are even cases of phantom internal organs. One of the strangest cases involved a man who had his rectum surgically removed due to cancer. He continued to feel the urge to defecate through a phantom rectum for years. He'd sit on the toilet, go through all the motions, feel the relief of elimination, except nothing happened. His brain couldn't accept that the equipment was gone. Women who've had mastectomies report phantom breasts that itch, hurt, or even feel aroused. One woman said her phantom breast would tingle when her husband was near, just like her remaining breast. The emotional complexity of losing a breast combined with phantom sensations creates a unique psychological challenge. But perhaps the most bizarre phantom phenomenon is the supernumerary phantom, feeling extra limbs that were never there. Some stroke patients report having a third arm. They can feel it, move it, but when they look, nothing's there. One patient insisted nurses were neglecting his third arm and demanded they wash it during bath time. These cases reveal something fundamental. Our sense of body isn't based on what's actually there. It's based on what our brain thinks is there. And sometimes our brain gets creative. The future is here, and it's weird. Current phantom limb research sounds like science fiction. Scientists are developing prosthetics that can feed sensation back to the brain. Imagine an artificial hand that can actually feel. At the University of Pittsburgh, researchers implanted electrodes directly into a patient's brain. His robotic arm doesn't just move, it feels. When someone touches the robotic fingers, he feels it in his phantom. He can tell the difference between his wife's touch and a stranger's. The phantom and the prosthetic are merging. Another team is working on targeted muscle reinnervation. They take the nerves that used to control the missing limb and reroute them to nearby muscles. Touch your chest, feel your missing hand. It sounds impossible, but it works. Patients can feel their phantom through their chest, control prosthetics with unprecedented precision. And then there's the really wild stuff. Researchers are exploring whether phantom limbs could be used to control computers directly. Your phantom hand could type on a keyboard that doesn't exist, controlling a computer through thought alone. Some teams are even investigating whether phantoms could control robotic limbs remotely. Your phantom hand operating a robot hand on the other side of the world. But maybe the weirdest development is this. Some researchers think we all have phantom limbs. Not missing limbs, extra ones we can't normally feel. They argue our brain's body map includes possibilities we've never explored. With the right stimulation, could we feel wings, tails, extra arms? One experiment had people wear VR goggles showing them with a tail. After a few minutes, they could feel the tail. When a virtual tail was touched, they felt it. When it was threatened, they flinched. Their brain had incorporated a body part humans have never had. What phantoms teach us about being human? Phantom limbs reveal something profound about consciousness. Your sense of self, your feeling of inhabiting a body, isn't based on your actual body. It's based on a model your brain creates. This has huge implications. If our body image is just a brain construct, what else about our reality is constructed? Our sense of self? Our consciousness itself? Some philosophers argue phantom limbs prove we're more than just our physical bodies. If you can feel a hand that doesn't exist, maybe consciousness isn't tied to flesh and bone. Maybe we're something more, something that transcends the physical. Others see it differently. They say phantoms prove consciousness is nothing but brain activity. Alter the brain, alter the experience. No soul required, just neurons firing in patterns. The debate rages on. But one thing is certain. Phantom limbs force us to question what it means to be human, to have a body, to exist in space. The patient's teaching us to heal. Let me tell you about Marcus. Lost his leg in a construction accident. The phantom pain was unbearable. Tried everything, drugs, therapy, mirror boxes, VR. Nothing worked. Then Marcus had an idea. What if instead of fighting the phantom, he befriended it? He started talking to his missing leg, thanking it for years of service, apologizing for the accident, saying goodbye. Sounds crazy, right? But the pain started fading. Not completely, but enough. Marcus developed a whole ritual. Every morning, he'd stretch his phantom leg. Every night, he'd massage it. He treated it with respect, like an old friend who was leaving slowly. His doctors were skeptical until they saw his brain scans. The activity in his pain centers was decreasing. His own ritual was rewiring his brain more effectively than any treatment. Marcus started teaching other amputees his method. Not everyone responded, but many did. They formed a support group, not to complain about phantoms, but to honor them, to recognize them as part of their journey. This psychological approach is gaining scientific support. Researchers are finding that how patients relate to their phantoms affects their pain. Fight it, and it fights back. Accept it, and it might just fade away. Why this matters to you? You might be thinking, interesting, but I have all my limbs. Why should I care about phantoms? Because phantom limbs teach us about all pain. Chronic back pain, migraines, fibromyalgia, they might all involve similar mechanisms. The brain creating pain that serves no purpose, neurons misfiring and getting entangled. The treatments developed for phantoms are already helping other conditions. Mirror therapy is being used for stroke recovery. VR is treating PTSD. The Russian EEG technique might detect depression or anxiety. More personally, phantoms remind us that our experience of reality is fragile. Your brain is constantly constructing your world, and sometimes it gets things wrong. That person who annoys you? Maybe your brain is constructing a version of them that isn't quite right. That limitation you feel? Maybe it's a phantom restriction that doesn't really exist. Understanding phantoms helps us understand ourselves, how we perceive, how we suffer, how we heal. It shows us that the impossible is possible, that the brain can be tricked, that suffering isn't always what it seems. The mystery continues. Despite all our advances, phantom limbs remain largely mysterious. We don't fully understand why some people get them and others don't. We can't predict who will have pain. We can't cure everyone. New questions arise faster than we can answer old ones. Why do some phantoms fade while others persist for decades? Can we prevent phantoms from forming? Could understanding phantoms help us upload consciousness or create true virtual reality? One thing is certain. Phantom limbs have transformed from medical curiosity to cutting-edge science. They're teaching us about consciousness, pain, identity, and what it means to be human. The next time you wiggle your fingers or tap your foot, remember, the feeling isn't coming from your hand or foot. It's coming from your brain. Your entire body experience is a magnificent illusion, a story your brain tells itself. And sometimes, even when the chapter ends and the limb is gone, the story continues. The phantom remains, a ghost in the machine, a reminder that we are more than just our flesh and bone. We're the stories our brains tell. And sometimes, those stories include chapters about parts of us that exist only in the electric dreams of neurons, firing forever in the dark.